Hey there, guys. Today's topic is a little bit complicated, so stick with me, all right? If you're new to Football Manager and you read about all the cool stuff you can do, you can download editor data files, you can download pictures, you can download like tactics and schedules for training and all sorts of other cool stuff. If you're new to Football Manager and you just installed it, you're probably wondering where all this stuff goes. Now, I'm going to show you here, and it's complicated. So there are actually two different places where things go in Football Manager, and it's a little bit different depending upon whether you are using a Windows computer or Mac. Now, the fun part is that I'm on Linux, but fortunately for me, Linux kind of follows the Windows directory. So we're going to go take a look at this first. Now, this is a real interesting thing, right? This is the actual main game folder of Football Manager. This is FM 2023, but this is the same for FM 2024. Now, it hasn't come out yet. We'll see if FM 2025 makes a change. I really doubt that it will. This is where your game directory is. You can tell because you have this folder called data. That's where the database is, DLC is, game, you have all this other stuff. This is where the resource archiver is. This is where you have the SI graphics and the SI match and SI match viewer uncompressed, SI match viewer, and so on and so forth. This stuff is important if you want to use cool things like the Mets sound pack, the pack that has all the announcer sounds and all the added sounds. That's where you would look for it. This is the folder that has all of the stuff that's like, this is the main game itself. By the way, if you want to do certain patches, like if you want to take away the game's, what is it? It doesn't allow you to use certain like swear words and names or whatever, or if you want to be able to use real names of certain teams and stuff, all of that stuff winds up being in here. It actually is in the database DB folder, and then you go through and you mess around with all of this stuff here. Now, your question though is not what does this folder do, but rather where is it? And so on Linux, this is the way that it works, right? You have it is under the .local folder, share, and then Steam under Steam Apps and Common. On Windows, it's very, very similar, except instead of having a .local folder, it's basically under Program Files, then Steam Apps. So it's the same thing. Just think of Program Files instead of Share. This will be under your Program Files x86 folder. I believe that's still the case on Windows. But what happens if you're on Mac, right? Mac's a little bit different. So Mac is different because the entire folder setup is different. What you're looking for is going to be under the application, let me look this up here, application support folder. And I believe you have to go under Steam and then under Football Manager, whatever year it is, if I remember right. My apologies, it's been a couple years since I've last used Mac OS. But that's where it looks. That's where you have to look. If you don't have access to the application support folder, it's a hidden folder. You have to search for it and you have to go find it. Yeah, those of us who kind of know what we're doing for that reason don't tend to like to use Macs because stuff is hidden. Anyway, this folder is important. Most people won't use it, but there are certain things that you have to certain cases where you will have to go into this folder to use it. If anything talks about changing your main game directory, changing anything, especially in this DB folder here, that's where it's going to be. It's going to be under Program Files in Windows. It will be basically under your Steam directory. That's the way that it works. If you're not on Steam, I can't really help you there, but I think that Epic and so on probably has a similar directory structure. The way you think about it is you have program directory over here, and then in a different place, we have documents, and that's what we're going to look at next. So most of the stuff you're going to get is going to go under the documents folder. This includes all sorts of fun stuff. Editor data, for example, this is where you can download or even create your own editor data files, which allow you to modify the way the Football Manager itself works. Maybe create a new league or remove other leagues or create new rules. Give yourself a super team. Make a certain team extraordinarily rich. Make a team really poor. Go into, I don't know, Ireland and give the teams this huge multi-billion-dollar television deal and see what happens, and so on and so forth. That's going to be in editor data. There are a couple of other things here that might be important to you. If you're looking for your save game, look under your games folder here. So you can see all of my wonderful save games, some of which are rather large, some of which you can go back and watch again on the channel. I still have a lot of them saved, but not all. There are some that unfortunately didn't make it. There's a couple other things, languages and stuff like that. Matches, I'm not 100% sure I understand what this does. If you want to modify the skin, different skins will go here under the skins folder. If you download tactics, I don't know why you would do that. Then you would put them here under the tactics folder. Schedules is actually for training schedules. I know it should say training. They say schedules because reasons. You can download set pieces. Apparently I have some downloaded, or I think I made some of those myself. Now, if you want more photos, they go under the graphics folder. Now, the way that this works, and you'll see this here in a second, is that everything in Football Manager has a unique identifying number associated with it, and the game will look automatically for this in the right folders, but it has to have a certain thing in here to tell it to look for it, and that certain thing is an XML file. I think I just opened up probably the wrong directory to look at, but when you look at, for example, the sorted out SI faces folder and stuff like this, you'll see a huge number of files. And when we start looking at them, we can see the faces of different people, players, and so on and so forth. It'll come up, I think, slowly here one by one, or we'll just move over to something else. That's basically the way that this works. And it's not just with people that it works either. Like you can have backgrounds for like nation teams, right? So there's pictures for like Angola, and there's, my apologies, I'm not going to be able to recognize this all at once because my folder here is much smaller than what you're seeing. But that's basically what's going on here. The numbers here correspond with unique identifying numbers for nations in the game. Similarly, for teams, you have numbers that correspond with certain teams in the game. Right? Now, the way that this is set up is through these XML files, which tells Football Manager what to look for where. So when we look at something really cool, like, I don't know, the Nugan pack, which I'm actually not using in the current save, but that's the way it is. The way that this works is it works through that XML file, right? All of the photos are here, but the photos are set up, you'll see, with a different naming structure, right? That's Asian 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on and on and on, until we hit 3,999. None of these are real people. They're all invented pictures of invented people. It's the XML file that then tells Football Manager unique identifier number blah, 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 blah is actually this or is actually that. Now, Football Manager will create new unique identifier numbers for newly generated players known as new gens. The way that the Nugan pack works and the executable file works is it will take the new gen information and it will assign that one of these pictures automatically depending upon information that is presented to it straight from the game. Like the game will say what kind of haircut the guy has, or how tall or how short he is, and stuff like that, what kind of facial style he has, and so on and so forth. That's the way that that works, right? That's basically how graphics works. Most of the other stuff in here is not necessarily that important to know. Art here is for different pitch textures that I use. You can find those on FM Scout. And filters are for search filters. That's important if you're doing the Nugan pack, or if you're trying to look up and find who the newly generated AI players are. That's really about it. But the big question is, where in the world is this folder? Now we know we can do so many cool things with it. Where is it located? Well, this will be in your documents folder, right? So the way that this works on Linux is it's kind of a mirror of how Windows works, right? So on Windows, you'll have your C drive and you'll have your user directory or whatever. It'll probably just be your directory. And under that, you will have your My Documents directory, right? Under My Documents will be Sports Interactive. And it's in the Documents directory, followed by Sports Interactive, that you find all of this stuff. There's FM 2023. That will give you all of these files. Now, there's a really important thing to remember about this. These folders will not show up until you've started the game. So if you just installed the game and there's nothing else going on, you're not going to see all of those folders. You have to start the game for the first time. Once you've started the game for the first time, then you will be able to see all of the folders as they've been set up, and you'll be able to figure all this stuff out and figure out where to put stuff. So if you're not seeing these folders, you need to go in and start the game. probably need to just start a whatever save with the vanilla, as it came game settings. And then when you go back, you should be able to see these folders and go through it and have fun. Now, if you're on a Mac, it's going to be different. This is where it's going to be under application support and then directly Sports Interactive and then Football Manager 2022. Again, this is because on Macs, the directory structure is different, right? I think it's frustrating. I think that Linux's basic out-of-the-box directory structure is much more simple than it is for Macs. Unfortunately, on Linux, you're running this game through Proton, which is the reason why I have this like convoluted directory system. But so it is. That's the way that it works. And so there you have it. That's how you understand the directory structure of Football Manager. It's a little bit complicated. It's okay if you're new to this game, even if you think that you're pretty tech savvy, if you don't understand it, that's perfectly normal. This hasn't been set up so that it's necessarily user-friendly. It's just kind of like the way that it is, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, you kind of have to get used to it if you want to play the game. It's not a great thing, but we do what we have to make it work. Anyway, there you have it. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I'll do my best to help. That's the way the directories work. Once you have all this set up, you can download a bunch of cool stuff. You can stick it into Football Manager, and it's not only easy to use, but it becomes a lot of fun. And over time, as with everything else with computers, you'll get the hang of it. That's it for today. I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye.